the Epstein files. What should we expect, and what do you expect? That's right. That's a good question. So before you start screaming and hollering about this and that of Epstein, we have been knowing about the Epstein list for decades. The government has been knowing about the Epstein list for decades. Now, all of a sudden, there's a rush and a push to release the Epstein files. I don't have any issue with them releasing the Epstein files. If you ask me to vote, should we or shouldn't we release the Epstein files? I'm going to say let's release the Epstein files. But here's my question to you. What do you expect is going to be accomplished once they do release the Epstein files? Do you believe at this point in time in history that once they do release the Epstein files, that you're going to get a clear and transparent manuscript or transcript of the files that existed from their inception until now? Or do you think that is possible? We're going to get files that have been scrubbed so many times over that it's just a portion of what it's supposed to be, and it's filled with misinformation, narratives, steerings. Do you expect the Epstein files that we're going to get when Senate, which the Senate is probably likely going to release them so we can be done with it and everybody can see the files? Do you think it's going to change anything? Who do you think's really on those lists? The people who were on those lists that had authority and power, when those lists came to light in the early 2000s, their names were scrubbed off those lists a long time ago. You don't think that when those lists came out, when the so-called black book was found with phone numbers in it, that the powerful people who were in it, supposedly, right, made phone calls to congressmen and senators and bankers and backers and said, hey, by the way, know you found this book. It's possible you might come across this name or that name. What I'm going to do is, you know what I mean? Hint, hint, wink, wink, nod, nod. Expect you, or would hope you, remove or take care of this issue for me since you have access to said files and information. And in regard, just maybe, right? Wink, wink, nod, nod. We are going to contribute this money to this cause that means so much to you. Or we're going to contribute this amount of money to your next endeavor, which is your political run in Congress or Senate or whatever else. We're going to put funds toward your campaign. $100,000 or $100 million, depending on who the senator, congressman person was. The American people need to pay attention, because when the government starts giving us stuff to pay attention to and starts giving us stuff, they're trying to take our focus off of something else. I promise you. And I know I'm usually the crazy one, right? I'm the person who's like, oh, you can't listen to this dude. He's crazy, right? Oh, he's wild, whatever. Conspiracy theorists. It's not a conspiracy. They've been conspiring on these Epstein lists since the early 2000s. This ain't nothing new. And if you think that only one political party has names that were originally in the Epstein list, you're sadly mistaken. Freaks that want to do sick things to humans who are trafficked and children are in all parties. Democrat, Republican, Independent, Communist, Socialist, Extremist. They got freaks everywhere. They got sick desires everywhere. It's in all religions. Christians, Muslim, atheists, Buddhist, Hindus. There are people in every walk of life who, I promise you, made their way to these so-called islands and these so-called hidden locations. I heard in the early 2000s that some of the people that were on these lists were doing stuff that we can't even imagine. I can't even talk about the stuff right here. I heard and talked to people who went to parties of smaller timed congressional people and actors and musicians, and they witnessed stuff that will blow your mind. So you can imagine the ones who got hundreds of millions of dollars or billions of dollars of stuff that was going on. So we get the list. Undoubtedly, there's going to be some information in these lists that they allow us to see. We're not going to see nothing that they don't want us to see. And before you start crying about, oh, Trump, oh, my poor daddy Trump, my big daddy Trump, the one who rents the room in my head when I sleep. I can't even think about playing ball with my kids because daddy Trump runs everything. Before you start complaining about Trump, the Democrats were in office long enough to release the Epstein files, and they didn't release them. So now why all of a sudden are they so interested in releasing these said Epstein files? Why? And listen, Trump, he has to check himself too, because he ran a campaign that, hey, look, we're going to release the files. All right, release the files. You said you was going to release them. Don't say you're going to do something you're not going to do it. Release the files. So we're going to get the files. I'm not personally expecting much from these files. And listen, y'all, I'm just shooting from the hip. I don't have no script or no teleprompter in front of my face. I ain't got a multi-million-dollar organization that's sitting here in front of me feeding me information. When you go watch those news channels and those YouTubers who got millions and millions of subscribers, they have enough money to hire people. They're reading from teleprompters. They've researched it. I'm speaking from the hip, from all the years I've been reading about it and listening about it, on my thoughts on it. And I'm not naive enough to think that once we get this Epstein list or these Epstein files, that we're going to get accurate information. And furthermore, I'm trying to think outside the box like I usually do. Why all of a sudden do they want us to be focusing on the Epstein files when they spent so much time trying to convince us that the Epstein files were a shadow, a ghost, not important? They tried to steer us from thinking about them, but now they want us to think about them. Why are we so much of sheep and puppets? We do whatever they tell us to do. Oh, now we're going to release them. Focus on this. Wait, my question is, why you want me to see them now? Why you didn't want me to see them when I wanted to see them 8 years ago, 12 years ago, 4 years ago? Now, all of a sudden, the House is crying, give us the Epstein list. Listen, I think there's going to be some names on the Epstein list. I personally don't know if there's going to be enough information in these Epstein files that's going to lead to any indictments or convictions. I could be wrong. I think there will be some names in it, and there will be some questionable interviews that will read in them, and the court of public opinion will probably shift on some of the people's names who we see. But I promise you, the names that we see are the ones who are taking the proverbial sword, kind of like P. Diddy. P. Diddy's guilty. He deserves what he got. He actually got away light. I think he should have got convicted of the other stuff because he did some foul and disgusting stuff. But let's be honest. P. Diddy, it took the proverbial sword. Epstein took the proverbial sword. I promise you, we all have people we like that's probably on that Epstein list, the original list. But we're not going to see it. You're not going to see it. These people done removed their names off that list a long time ago in any files and interviews that go with it. We don't have transparency from our government. Now, since we don't trust the government, all of a sudden, now we're going to start trusting the government to give us the truth on Epstein list. Think about that. Boom, that's just crazy. You trust them now? So when you get this Epstein list, you're going to trust it. Face value. Maybe. I'm gonna check it out. I'm going to read it when they release it. I'm not going to ignore it. But I know that there's something else going on. There's more to the story. There's always more to the story. And I'm trying to look around and figure out what else they trying to slick side push on me while they try to get me to focus on this Epstein file stuff. Because now they want me to focus on it. Now I want to know why. What you trying to do to us? What's the next big scheme and scam that our government is going to hit us with? Man, y'all, listen. We got to think individually. We got to think for ourselves. Take the information and base your conclusion. I know there's going to be people who are angry with me. I'm small scale, and I get called all kind of names. It's cool. That's the way life works. If you ain't got opponents and enemies from what you're doing and people who hate you and don't like you, then you probably ain't doing nothing, because the reality is, people dislike people, every president who gets in there every 4 years, roughly half the country likes him and roughly half the country don't like him. no matter what the party is, Democrat or Republican. I don't trust none of them completely. I don't trust all. I personally, if I'm being honest with you, I think the Republican Party is more trustworthy than the Democratic Party. But do I sit here and am I naive enough to think that everybody in the Republican Party can be trusted? No, indeed not. That's stupid. That's foolish. I don't know these people. I can judge them on what I see and base them on their character. And there are some Republicans that I think are really solid individuals. They're good people, you know. They got good family values. They stand for good stuff. They also have some Democrats who are also decent people too. But by and large, the Democratic Party has become a party that's just obviously against America. Their interest is seeing the America that we know fall. And why would you want that? Why would anybody want that? Only invading nations will want to see America fall. Those who are coming to America with the desire to be a part of America because America's a great place, there's no issue with that. But those who are coming to infiltrate, destroy, and help falter our system and sink it, man, I'm just saying, think about it. Think about this Epstein list. Who do you think is going to be on there? What name are you personally expecting? Share in the comments. Who are you expecting to be on the Epstein list? We know everybody with money likely had contact with Epstein, okay? Let's just put that out there. No matter what they believe in, no matter what their affiliation is, they had contact with him. Only broke people didn't have no contact with Epstein, but the rich people did. So whose name are you expecting to see on there? What's going to surprise you? And here's my bigger question. What do you think is going to be accomplished once we have it? Do you think indictments are going to occur? Do you think that the people who should be held accountable are going to be held accountable? Why do you think Epstein just magically passed away while he was in prison? Man, that was no accident. That wasn't. Oh, man, y'all crazy, man. That wasn't no accident. But what am I going to do about it? I'm just saying, man, be careful on what you try to co-sign to. Think for yourself. Step outside the box. And while you're at it, give me a like and subscribe. Hit that bell notification to the pin and the shank. The most unusual and unique crime in prison experience on YouTube. We usually don't cover a lot of the mainstream trending topics, but I feel like we should, discuss the Epstein list a little bit. And we may discuss it more in the future when they release it. But I just wanted to ask y'all what y'all think. What do you think is going to be accomplished? Share in the comments. And while you're at it, give me a like and subscribe.